Hello everyone and welcome to the Willow Witch Tarot channel. So we are doing a message for you on Beltane today. This will be a pick a card tarot reading. So we've got the 3 piles already set here. I drew, just shuffled and drew some tarot cards and 1 oracle card each from a variety of different decks. I have not looked at these cards, so they'll be revealed to both you and I in each of the readings. So this will be pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, and we will go ahead and draw some Druid animal oracle cards here together. I've shuffled this deck. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle it couple more times. It's a little hard to shuffle just because it is so large, but really love the illustrations, are very sweet, and some pretty cool animals, some fairy tale animals in here too, like dragons. So we'll go ahead and pull some cards together for each pile. So the first pile has dog. Very cute. Second pile here. We've got Earth Dragon. Oh my goodness. My cat is chasing a fly, so maybe that's a sign for one of you. She just ran in here and is going completely crazy at the window. Oh my goodness. She is, we call her Oakland Flycatcher is her middle name because she's so good at catching flies. Okay, and the last reading has Blackbird. Okay, and I will go ahead and pull out some crystals. I'm getting the message that crystals might be helpful for choosing here, so I'll be right back with those. Okay everyone, so I've got your crystals here for your reading today. So for reading number 1, we have Moss Agate with the dog. For reading number 2, we have this beautiful citrine point with the earth dragon. And for reading number 3, we have this Malachite, and that will be with the Blackbird. Okay, so I'll give you a few moments if you would like to meditate on your pile. If you already know which one you would like to choose, I will pin the timestamps in a pinned comment below, and of course they will be in the description box as well. And I will see you in your reading. Hello, Pile 1, and thank you for joining me in your reading today, a message on Beltane, which is May 1st. Of course, this is a timeless reading, so whenever you come to this reading, the message is here for you. And if you're not viewing it on the day of Beltane or the season of Beltane, then it may just be in the spirit of Beltane, which is a ritual, a festival of fertility and creativity. It's known as May Day. You know, May Day celebrations occur in many places around the world on May 1st, and they are celebrating the coming of summer, the coming of the season of warmth, often celebrated with a bonfire and celebrating the act of having fire itself. So we'll probably discuss that more as we go on with the reading, but you've chosen this beautiful dog card today. I'm just noticing the flowers in here and the water, very much the appearance of this time of year if you're in the northern hemisphere. And of course, this card comes from the Druid Animal Oracle deck. So this is a Celtic tradition of Druidry, And so we'll talk about that as we go as well. But the dog is depicted in many religions and mythology and folklore around the world as an animal of deep protection. He's also often seen as a guardian and a guide. There's many traditions which hold that the dog is often who greets souls as they are traveling either to the other worlds, and that can be, in a spiritual quest, or even souls as they pass from this world to the next. The dog is often there to guide them and lead the way, provide protection, sometimes even depicted holding a lantern or a light or having a light around his neck in order to guide the way. So really beautiful. You've also chosen this moss agate stone, very grounded and connected to the earth, which Beltane is very much, being a Celtic holiday, it is very much an earth connected, but also connected to fire. And what's interesting about this moss agate in conjunction with Beltane and this card here is that moss agate is very much a stone of healing, but it is also a stone of purifying in the similar way that fire is often seen as a purifying element. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of your cards. So I've pre-drawn tarot cards and one oracle card here. So we're actually going to take a look at your oracle card first. So vulnerability, card number 34. So interesting. Number 34 is a number of special significance to me. Generally, when I see the 3 and the 4 come out together, I think of the Emperor and the Empress card, which are numbers 3 and 4 in the major arcana. So there might be some significance with that here. I'm getting that message for some of you here, but let's take a look at the rest of your cards before we go too much more into that. So we've got the 8 of Wands, 9 of Wands. Oh, looks like you guys got 3 from this deck. So King of Pentacles, beautiful. And then we have the Tower. Interesting. Just move these up so we can see everything here. Such a beautiful Tower card. Got more animal guides and creatures here. And the moon. And look at these 2 wolves depicted here, the black and the white wolf. So I feel like that ties very much into our dog spiritual animal here. Queen of Vessels. This is the Queen of Cups in this deck. Knight of Bows. And this is the Knight of Wands in this deck. We've also got the Salmon and the Fox. And the Queen of Fire, beautiful. Okay. I'm actually going to put this one here. There we go. Now I think you guys can see everything. All right, let's take a look at our cards here. So one of the messages that is coming through strongly here, especially with this vulnerability card and the Tower, I'm seeing this lightning strike to the Tower, and then this figure in the moon looks like almost she could have fallen off the tower and fallen into the water, and she's being, sunk down into the water. And almost the appearance here with the 2 wolves howling at the moon very much gives me a feeling of deeply sinking into one's unconscious. I feel like there might be something that's occurred that has caused you to feel very vulnerable. maybe vulnerable in a way that you are essentially having to travel back to your origins. This Queen of Vessels depicted as the salmon. So the salmon, they return home to wherever they were birthed every time that they, essentially it happens in a cycle, right? So every year they return back to the place that they were spawned. And that involves jumping up these waterfalls and, rocky little dams. It's a pretty incredible feat. They travel miles and miles and, for a very long time, depending on where they were spawned, all the way inland to freshwater pools and ponds and rivers in order to return to the place of their birth and continue that cycle of reproduction. And so what I'm being shown here is that perhaps there is something that you are returning to in order to obtain one more insight with this moon card. And I very much am being reminded that you're being guided and protected here as well. So if you're concerned about this Tower card, this guiding, healing, protecting energy that we get really strongly from this spirit guide, this dog, perhaps you have a companion dog or dream of a dog or, see and notice dogs, especially right now in your life. And that's a nod that those spirits are appearing to essentially remind you that you're protected in this journey, and to help guide the way. So especially if you're dreaming about dogs appearing to you and kind of beckoning for you to follow them, very, very much a synchronous message here, that you are kind of taking this journey into your subconscious and retrieving information that perhaps you've had long buried or repressed. And, like this squirrel depicted on this Tower card here, finding these essentially magical acorns. I mean, I'm just really drawn into this beautiful swirling energy here that is almost like manifesting into these butterflies of transformation. And so, this could be anything from getting that, it's like remembering lost, almost like these dreams and this potential that maybe you had as a child or a younger adult or when you were in college or high school. These fiery, burning, creative, passionate, like inspiration, right? These dreams that you had that you envisioned for your future or even for, that time in your life, and perhaps they didn't come to pass. Perhaps you squirreled them away, right? Hoping that sometime in the future would be the time. And I'm getting such the strong message that this dog has appeared in your life to send you the message that now is the time, right? I mean, with this Eight of Wands, so that's often seen as a fast moving energy, one of the fastest moving energies in the deck. And it's really interesting here that in this deck, it's being depicted as this woman, she's unrolled this blanket in the middle of the woods. I'm getting that this is like a ley lines, like a strong place of energy, right? And so she's packed all of these supplies up. She's walked out to the woods. She's gathering flowers from this beautiful energy center. This little bird has joined her here. It looks like a little, either a chickadee or a house sparrow. yeah, this little bird has joined her here to add its own healing, guiding energy to her work, her mastery here. And it looks like she is carving these pieces of wood into these wands, right? So that she can essentially do her what she's called to do, right? So maybe she's going to use these wands herself for manifestations, and she's pairing them with this beautiful energy of the flowers here, which will impart their own magic and their own earth magic into these tools of manifestation. And perhaps these will be gifts to friends, or perhaps she'll sell her wares, however it comes together for her. And so how this is translating as a message for you guys, and I'm definitely being drawn to the connection here with these, it looks like 8 or 9 standing and burning candles here, and the 9 of Wands, such a message of progression, right? Perhaps you've been asleep for a while, like the figure depicted in this vulnerability card, and you might be getting dream messages to return to a craft, or to return to a passion project that perhaps you've left long, figuratively bundled and pushed to the back of a closet, or your storage shed, or wherever it may be, your parents' basement, right? And so getting a message to trust that guidance. There's 2 moons here. I mean, very much getting that you may be dreaming about this message, and that your spirit guides are hoping to, kind of almost shock you awake with this message to pursue this. The fox here, this Knight of Wands, Knight of Wands is very much a impulsive, impish, also fast moving, but like very much following his passions type of energy. And the fox, of course, very creative spirit, often, can show in our lives, excuse me, often can show in our lives when we're perhaps needing to play more and needing to have that guidance to follow paths that we followed as children or followed as younger adults that perhaps we've lost sight of, and kind of getting this almost like slightly overgrown feeling here, and that the fox is here to show you the path, to pick your way carefully. Foxes are so nimble and so creative with how they leap and bound and climb through and over and under things, right? So you might be needing that energy in order to find your way back to this beautiful passion of yours. And with the 9 of Wands, very much echoing that protection message. Especially with, it's really interesting here with this little fairy guide, right? Because it's a very similar kind of impish energy to the fox. And yet there's, this hut, this actually quite nicely appointed hut, right? With a little fence, and, it looks really well maintained. There's beautiful glass panes with intricate woodwork. Even the door has like handmade touches around the frames, right? And it's reminding me a bit of Baba Yaga's hut, which is a myth, many old tales, Russian tales and Eastern European tales feature Baba Yaga's hut, and it often has a thatched roof, and yet while the hut may appear stationary at first, it actually stands on little chicken legs and can move and suddenly appear in one place and then be gone the next day. And just with like this impish energy and kind of the vibe of the hut itself, it's recalling to mind a bit of that story. So that may have some relevance. Maybe if that's calling to you, look up Baba Yaga stories, because they're quite fascinating and quite inspiring. But just to give you kind of the energy of that's coming through for me, is that often in tales of Baba Yaga, one comes across her hut in the woods, and she essentially is like, who goes there? What are you doing here? And usually the seeker is in need of a favor from Baba Yaga, whether that's, the fire has gone out in her family's hearth, and she's, on a mission to refine that fire, right, which can be very symbolic of that creative fire, relighting that spark of creativity. And Baba Yaga says, okay, my child, certainly come on in, but the tasks that I set before you are going to be impossible. You will not succeed, and then I will eat you, right? And so, the child, or the young girl or young person, enters the hut in complete terror, and doesn't know, how she's going to survive, but knows that she has to do this, right? Like it's like a matter of life and death. And so, she consults with, often it's like a doll that symbolizes her inner knowing, her intuition. And the doll comforts her and says, do not fear, go ahead and rest. I will take care of this while you sleep. And so when she wakes, this impossible task, whether it's sorting, the rice from pieces of sand, or sometimes it's like little bits of millet from sand, that sort of thing. The task has been completed, and the person, the seeker, can't hardly believe it, but her intuition says, I told you I would take care of it while you slept. No worries, I've got you. And Baba Yaga can't believe it, and in most stories sets her a couple more impossible tasks, which are accomplished in the same manner. And so, she gets her fire, she's able to leave safely. And as she's leaving, Baba Yaga says, fine, take your fire, but don't ever look back, take it and just go. And so the message that's coming through here, especially with kind of this just overall vibe of this card, is very much giving me that message. Even the way this character is kind of looking, like in trepidation, like really unsure, how am I going to complete this task, which seems so heavy before me. And yet, this little impish figure on, almost like over his shoulders, is like holding this light and kind of dancing around like, no worries, don't worry, you got this. And so I'm kind of getting this very strong message for those of you who chose this pile, that, leaning into those messages that you're getting from your intuition, even if it's pointing you towards something that your logical mind is saying, there's no way I could ever accomplish that. There's no way that, I have that in me, essentially, right? Like you're doubting. And yet your intuition is sending such a strong message here to just trust that you do have it within you, that you hold this knowledge, even if it's maybe a bit buried, right? But there's a reason why you are being called to this. Such a strong, beautiful reason, that your gift is meant to be shown to the world. I mean, so we've got the King of Pentacles here, but also the Queen of Fire. And anytime the Queen of Fire comes out in a reading, especially from this Gaia deck, the Dreams of Gaia is what it's called. There's so much information that comes through with this card every time. And it's such a card of a powerful creator, and a powerful someone who has messages to bring to the world that the world needs and seeks. And so, you can see like the snakes here, this beautiful gem and peacock feathers over her third eye chakra, very much, showing that, these snakes remind me of like that, almost that forbidden knowledge. And yet, you're being encouraged with these peacock feathers here to show this knowledge to the world and not to be, not to hold back, right? Like let your light shine. I love her like partnership with her cat here too. Very much like a second sort of message or a familiar, so maybe some of you are, practicers of witchcraft or identify as a witch or, are fascinated by the occult or by witchy magic, maybe earth or hearth witch magic. And so, with this open eye in the middle of this sun, floating over her head, kind of that seventh chakra sort of area. I mean, just so much spiritual knowledge. Like you are a conduit, right? And not only that, but you're like a transmuter, right? So you can get these messages and you can turn them into a passion project, set fire to them almost, which, so much goes, it makes sense why you're getting this message on Beltane, because you're being really encouraged to use that transformative fiery power you have to bring those strong, beautiful messages to light up our world, right? So gorgeous. I love that energy so much. Yeah, and then this King of Pentacles card. So of course, the King of Pentacles is, somebody who has accomplished a lot, built a legacy. We see the cow in the background and all of these flowers of abundance. These, I think they're morning glories, growing in this vine overhead. Yeah, and just the overall appearance of the card is like luxurious, sitting in the lap of plenty, right? Like the land of plenty. And so I'm really getting the message here that this symbolizes like essentially the feeling of living and owning your gifts, right? So living your truth, owning your gifts, being able to be recognized for the light that you bring to the world, the joy that you're able to bring to the world through, embodying those gifts that you have been given, right? That you've been born with. And so reclaiming them is going to place you in this feeling, like you'll embody this energy of being blessed, essentially, right? Like you're claiming this gift that you have and you're fully embodying it. And it's not in kind of like a, some people might look at this card and think, of like something like gluttony or something like that. And that's very much not at all the message that I'm getting. It's this message of, somebody who is seen as like this leader who has knowledge, who shares that knowledge with the world, who takes the necessary steps, and who's seen a lot, right? Like you've been through a time where perhaps you weren't expressing these gifts, and, in a way you experienced that almost kind of like starvation in a way of your voice, of your ability to manifest what you wanted to see in the world, right? And so I'm getting the strong message that in this, essentially future vision, this person has manifested what they're able to bring to the world, and it's a world of plenty for all, right? So it's not just this one person that benefits, but it's the ability to bring, the bounty of these fields, the bounty of this harvest to everybody, right? And to share, to have an open table and to share those gifts and those benefits. And even with the animal world, right? The environment, animals, insects, birds, very much getting that when more people have more, right? Everybody benefits. So, it's learning to live not only in moderation and balance with our environment, our animal brothers and sisters, the plant life, the water, the air, the soil, respecting and wanting the health of all of those things and to live in balance with that. But it's also being able to use whatever you've been given to contribute to that balance throughout the world. Okay. All right, that is the beautiful message that I am seeing for you today on this Beltane day, pile number 1. So wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me in this message here today. I hope that this brought you some good insight, and I can't wait to read for you again in the future. If you liked this video, please go ahead and like it. That definitely helps my page. It definitely helps my channel to grow. And then also, if you would like to be notified of future videos, go ahead and press the little bell icon to subscribe and be notified when I post again. Subscribing also very much helps YouTube channels to grow. So for both myself and any other YouTube creators, if you appreciate their content and want to support their channel, subscribing to their channel is one of the very best ways to do that, just so you know. All right, and if you want to share any insights that you received or share your story, feel free to comment down below. I would love to hear from anybody on what their thoughts were, and any feedback is always welcome. All right. Beautiful pile 1. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today, and I can't wait to see you again. Bye-bye. Hi pile 2. Thanks so much for joining me in this reading today for Beltane. So you've chosen the beautiful Citrine point and the Earth Dragon card. It's a really interesting combination because the Earth Dragon speaks of our guarded inner potential, of kind of that hoarding or having this strong, fierce guardian of the treasure that's inside us, whether that's locked deep within our heart or deep within our soul. Very much an interesting message for Beltane of perhaps setting that free. But we'll get into that here shortly when we look at your tarot and see what other messages are there for us. And then this beautiful citrine point is also known, so citrine is known as the gemstone or the crystal of sunlight. And so definitely appropriate for Beltane, that day of fire magic and fire rituals and celebration and big bonfires late into the night, celebrating that fertility, right? So citrine point is often used for healing of the solar and the sacral chakra, refinding that joy, refinding that inner fire, that creativity, and then having the confidence and the self, courage of self-expression to go ahead and go after what we want. Okay, so let's see how that shakes out. Oh, and we've got the Earth Agate here from reading number 1. I forgot to pick that up, but that's maybe a sign for some of you that perhaps there are some messages in reading number 1. So if you were pulled to both, then perhaps check out reading number 1 as well. I can definitely see how there might be some similarities here. All right, let's take a look at your tarot and your 1 oracle card. So take a look at the oracle first. Bountiful Harvest, card number 28. So that number could be significant to some of you. Right, beautiful. King of Wands, wow. Already so many synchronicities here. So this is the, King of Fire in some decks, right? Four of Wands, beautiful. Wow, so much wand and fire energy here joining us on this Beltane day. Nine of Pentacles. Oh, let's move that up so you can see everything. Okay. So we've got the Eight of Swords. Nine of Stones. This is the Nine of Pentacles. Oh, wow. Yeah, two Nine of Pentacles. So amazing. I love when that happens. So this is the Archer. So typically this would be the Chariot in a more traditional tarot deck. And then, wow. Look at that dragon. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, so this is the Ace of Pentacles, and it literally looks like an earth dragon. So such crazy synchronicity for you guys here. This is beautiful. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me take a look at our overall messages coming through these cards here for you. Yeah, wow. Okay. I'm seeing so much reason for celebration. You've got this Four of Wands here, which shows this beautiful harvest, right? These apples and pears and cider. They're sharing a celebratory drink. The Four of Wands is often seen as the celebration card, even the, happy marriage card. And then you have this bountiful harvest card as well. So, and the Nine of Pentacles, typically that means someone who is, well off, right? Like they've got it made, like they have made their own fortune. They're living their dream, right? They're like in their garden, in their castle, in their house, just feeling good about life and feeling good about their place in the world and what they've contributed, and they're being paid fairly for it as well, right? That's very much symbolic of this Nine of Pentacles here. And so, yeah, it's really interesting with this Eight of Swords. It shows this character in the cards. She's essentially tied up with these little strings. There's crows flying around her head, and it's debatable, right, whether she is being tied up by these crows or whether they're kind of trying to help untie her. Yeah. Yeah, and you can only see those, the blindfold and those strings and the birds here in this mirror or this reflecting pool, whichever one it is, not, in essentially real life, right? And so it's very symbolic of that feeling of being tied up, but it's in your mind, it's in your subconscious, in your unconscious, maybe even in your dreams. And yet, in reality, she could essentially get up, she can see, she can walk away, she's not, bound at all, right? But she's stuck here because in her mind she feels stuck, and she's kind of going in circles and tying herself up. And so with that being kind of like the only card here that has really any sort of, hard or challenging interpretation whatsoever, I'm getting that your message is that if you are tying yourself up, if you're kind of keeping under wraps what your potential is, maybe you've been offered something, with this Ace of Pentacles here, and, you know, underneath it, this Archer card, you know, pulling back this arrow to essentially shoot a target, right? I'm very much getting the message that this Ace of Pentacles may be showing up to say that you have an opportunity here in your life, whether that's you're being offered a career opportunity that you really want to take, but maybe you're afraid that, you know, you're not good enough, that you're not this King of Wands yet. You know, perhaps there's an opportunity, you know, it could be in love, it could be in school, it could be a project, adventure to go on, you know, maybe a trip to take that you're concerned that, you know, perhaps you don't have the means, or you're kind of intimidated by in some way, perhaps, or even, you know, maybe it's an opportunity to lead something, right? To take the lead in a project, take the lead of a team or a group. Maybe it's you know, something that you do, you know, at work or in your spare time. You know, maybe it's a passion project or a hobby. You know, I'm even getting, like, for some people, it could be an online group of people that you have the opportunity to be in more of a leadership or a mentorship or a guiding type of role. You know, maybe it's a group in person, right? So whatever the opportunity is here, you know, this dragon, you know, essentially guiding spirit is very much what's coming through, is holding this little seed that is shooting out roots and starting to leaf out, right? And it's being very much protected, but also offered, right? Like, look at this sense of offering this to you with, you know, gravity, right? Like, this is being given over into your hands to continue to feed with your light. Citrine might be really useful for you to hold and to have around you at this point, because this very much can help you to stay optimistic, but also to shine, right? Like, to get that strength in, you know, allowing your light to come through, even if it seems like terrifying to do so at the time, right? Yeah, so definitely a strong message there to, if this is an opportunity coming through, you know, it's going to lead to success. You are this King of Wands. I'm very much getting this sense that you embody this and that other people can see this, and this is why this is being offered to you. You know, they see this leader within you, but perhaps, like this, you know, dragon, you might be hoarding it and not even realizing that, you know, by guarding kind of that treasure within you, those leadership qualities, that ability to mentor, to guide, to inspire, to set, you know, a light, something, right? Whether it's like to set alight the vision of an organization, maybe to guide it in a new direction that's going to lead to a lot of success and prosperity for that organization and the people that are within it and yourself, right? Whatever it is that you're kind of sitting on, guarding, you know, being worried about coming out of the cave, essentially, that treasure is there. It's very, very, very much there. And it's like so much more. I'm just getting that there's like this depth and this, I mean, it's like a mound of treasure, right? It's not just this little like pile, it's like this like heaping mound of treasure, and there's so much to go around, and yet also so much to, like, you know, keep you taken care of too, right? Like, you have a lot to give, and that, you know, maybe that's kind of been stored up, you know, perhaps you have many years under your belt of learning and kind of, you know, it's almost like polishing that gold, right? And you've like collected it and without even realizing it, it's like multiplied, essentially under your feet, over this time. It's like self-multiplied in this magical way, right? And now you're ready to harvest it. Very much getting this message here with her, this spirit, this like beautiful harvest spirit. It's like reminding me of there's like a Greek myth, I think it's Demeter, I believe, who's like the harvest spirit, right? And she has the ability to turn the earth and take it out of winter and bring it into, spring, and then into summer, and then into autumn when the harvest season is, right? And so many people, ancient Greeks and, even still people today, like prayed to Demeter to, hopefully they would have a good bountiful harvest, right? And so I'm getting that this spirit is appearing here to show you that, yes, you've done the work. There is this harvest awaiting for you, and that it's time to harvest it, and to essentially jump on this opportunity, whatever this is. It's going to be incredibly successful. You've nothing to worry about, so lay those doubts, those kind of like black thoughts that are circulating in your mind and kind of tying you up in bits, and maybe tying your hands, keeping you from reaching for this offer with both hands, right? Go ahead and put all of those doubts to rest. Step away from this. I am getting this strong guidance that you may find some comfort in meditation, perhaps, but also in, maybe even like consulting like ancient guides, like guiding information, right? Like these standing stones here are, all of these symbols of kind of like ritual, religion, very much like a, for me, I come from like a Celtic background in some of my ancestry, and so there's definitely some strong like Celtic, Druidic, excuse me, a little hiccup there, so that's reinforcing the message for me. But yeah, just like all of these kind of symbols that this shaman appearing figure or druid appearing figure is holding in his hands with his eyes closed, and even this these antlers on his head, pointing up to the heavens to like receive that knowledge, and being in a place of power too, right? Like both the earth dragon and this card very much speak of these places of power in the earth that kind of call to us at this deep, like bone deep soul knowledge level, where we just, it's almost like if you've ever gone on a hike and you've walked into like a clearing or a place where there's maybe a little pool of water or a waterfall or a meadow, and all of a sudden you just almost feel this like deep quiet, right? Like you feel like there's almost like something magical there, something ancient, something knowing, something that almost wants you to listen, right? And so I'm getting this message of like opening yourself to listening to that guidance, whether that comes in the form of, going to the library and being, walking by a shelf of books and seeing one and just pulling it off the shelf without even, maybe you're attracted to like something on the, like a color on the spine or a word on the spine, or you think you recognize the author or something, and then you open it up and it, speaks to you, right? Like there's something in there that provides the answer to a question that maybe you didn't even know you had, but you needed that information. Like that is guidance coming through, and maybe it's, looking up people who inspire you and looking for words of wisdom, turning on the radio or listening to, your favorite playlist and finding guidance in some lyrics. It can come through in a lot of different ways, But I'm definitely being given the strong message that if there's a book that has been calling to you, and maybe it's been sitting on your shelf or in your Kindle or, you know, on your list of audiobooks to listen to for a long time, you know, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to consult that knowledge. Okay. All right, and then ending out your reading with this gorgeous Major Arcana card. This is one of my favorite Major Arcana cards from this deck. This is, sorry, I'm terrible with remembering like the names of things. Let me just find it really quick. Yes, so this is the Wildwood Tarot, and there is literally like, I mean, sometimes, okay, yeah, so maybe some of you need the wisdom from this tarot deck because the like images here are so similar, and I find so much guidance from this deck, like an incredible amount. And there's references, and I love like the keywords, often just bring to mind a beautiful like memory of a, you know, teaching story that I've read or heard somewhere. So yeah, might be relevant for some of you to follow that. Also, these dogs here in this card are definitely reminiscent of pile one's spirit dog animals. So maybe some of you definitely need the guidance in pile one as well. You might find messages there. But I'm getting that this figure here is showing you that, like, essentially this opportunity coming through is, you know, right on target. Like you're getting this guidance to, you know, set your sights, you know, draw back that bow and like fire your arrow, right? Like shoot your shot, like do it. You got this. Like you have everything that you need. You've trained for this, you know, and you're going to learn as you go, of course. Like there's always going to be things that, you know, you'll learn, you'll make mistakes, you'll get better, you'll get wiser. But all of those things are what you can bring to teaching too, right? Like the most inspiring people are people who've overcome these obstacles and have learned, you know, from challenges, right? So, you know, don't be afraid to leap into that and to, you know, go into this. Like look how strong and athletic this figure is. I feel like that's how you are when it comes to this opportunity. Like you're like a well-trained athlete, like ready to run that final mile and cross the finish line, right? So yeah, go ahead and follow this, whatever this is pertaining to. So, all right, well, that's the message I am having come through for this Beltane day. So thank you so much for joining me here on this message today. If you guys like this video, please go ahead and like it, and definitely feel free to leave a comment if you are so inspired to do so. I'd love to hear what resonates and what you're experiencing. And then definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you would like to be notified of further videos as they come out. Also, subscribing to any channel on YouTube helps that creator's channel to grow more than just about anything else that I'm aware of. So yeah, definitely would love that support if you feel so inspired, and I can't wait to read for you again, beautiful pile 2. All the best of luck in this endeavor, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hello, pile 3. I'm so excited for your reading. This combination is incredibly powerful. Oh, and I did it again. I left pile 2's crystal here, so maybe that has some significance for you. If you were drawn to pile 2, you might be linked. I usually don't do that, but yeah, it's kind of funny. All right, well, we'll get on with what I was going to say. So this is an incredibly powerful combination. The Blackbird is actually the first card of this Druid Power Oracle, and seen as one of the 5 totem animals of Druid, essentially the Druid faith, the Druid spiritual following and teachings. And then, of course, Malachite is known as one of the power stones. It's a stone of transformation. It often is seen as one of the best protector stones as well. One of the tales that's really interesting around it is that it would have the ability to warn by breaking into pieces. So if some danger was approaching, it would break into 5 pieces, and that's how the wearer would know to escape, essentially. Excuse me. All right, so a little throat chakra healing going on here. Didn't get this in any of the piles, so this blue color may be symbolizing that too. So already getting some pretty strong messages coming through. And I just saw 5544, so if those numbers are meaningful to you, definitely a nod that there's messages here for you in this reading. But I'm just going to read to you a little bit from the guidebook here, because this card here, not only is it number 1 in this Druid Animal Oracle, and known as the Druid Doob. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so I'm probably saying it wrong, but calls to us from the gateway between 2 worlds, urging us to follow a spiritual path or become more self-aware. This also references May Day, which I just think is super crazy because we are, Beltane is May Day. So there's a little poem in here about the tradition of the Blackbird. May Day, season fair, perfect time of year, the Blackbird sung a poem to the sun's first slender ray. And that's from the 9th century Ireland. And then I'm going to just read you the last line here of the Oracle guidebook. So Druid Doom represents the otherworldly smith, the master of fire who calls to us with his healing song, telling us that we can work with the air of our minds, the water of our hearts, the earth of our instincts, and the fire of our spiritual passion to forge a new life for ourselves based on beauty, dignity, and purpose. So really, really powerful messages already coming through. Let's go ahead and see what your tarot holds. So I have pre-shuffled some cards here from a few different tarot decks, and then also one oracle card, which we will look at first. Clear endeavor. Yeah, so definitely getting clarity. I'm getting both with your voice and with that inner sight of yours. Oh yeah, I mean, beautiful. So the green man is the Fool in this deck. Definitely very related to this time if you follow the pagan calendar. Oh, and then number 1, the witch. Okay, guys, couldn't be a clearer message. So you've got 0, 1. The witch is also the magician. Very much a time of new beginnings for you, looks like. 5 of Cups. Okay, I'm actually going to put this down here. Okay, the Fool again. I mean, that's amazing. We've literally got the Fool underneath, reinforcing the Fool. 4 of Vessels, interesting. So that's 4 of Cups. Oh, looks like we got 2 cards here. So we've got the Queen and the King of Swords. Wow. Oh wow. We have 2 cards here too. Okay. I must have been a little pull happy when I was grabbing your cards, but apparently these very much needed to come out. So we have the card of the Self, and we have the Counselor. So this card is the 12 of Water, which I may have to reference and see, but I want to say that it's the King. I want to say that it's the King of Water. And then the Self card, so that is the number 14 in the Major Arcana. So this is our Temperance card in this deck. Yeah, beautiful. Wow. Okay. Let's look at your messages here. Give me just a moment. I am going to reference the book really quick for this one and just make sure that I know which card that is. Okay, guys. So this is actually the Knight of Water. So the counselor card is symbolic of the knight. And we have a counselor depicted here. Really interesting information. I just refreshed my memory from the guidebook about how this card is interpreted. So we will get to that, but I feel like it comes a little bit later. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in your cards here. So getting a really strong message that there may be some new endeavor that you are embarking on. Perhaps you've been needing some clarity. I'm getting this kind of like ruminating feeling from these two cards here, this Five of Cups and this Four of Cups, that perhaps either you've been ruminating over this new opportunity and or maybe procrastinating or being a bit reluctant to start it, or if you have not encountered this new opportunity yet, I'm getting a really strong message that this is kind of coming in to provide that clarity and get you out of and away from this state of boredom and this state of kind of almost like crying over spilled milk in a way, where maybe there was something in the past that you thought was going to manifest well. I mean, this might very well be referencing a love situation or an opportunity in, maybe there was a past relationship that did not go as well as you had hoped. And you've been doing some kind of looking back and kind of pondering over it. There may have been some tears, very much getting that with like the image on this card too. And that there's going to be a new opportunity that comes in. And if this isn't in love, then perhaps this is in work. Here we've got the Queen of Arrows and the King of Arrows here. So we've got, a matched pair, right? So that definitely reinforces that love message for me. But this could also very much be in the realm of your career, of your professional or academic aspirations. Perhaps there is a partnership coming in that is just like a match made in heaven. Like it's just this perfect partnership. You guys are going to make magic together. I mean, this witch, which is the Magician card, is all about manifesting, is all about having the right ingredients, the right setting. It's the right time, place, people, assistance, energy in the world. like just everything kind of clicks into place like a lock, and it just opens all of these wishes and dreams. The Self card as this Temperance depiction here is a pretty strong message that this is manifesting kind of into your ideal self. Okay, so there's like something here that feels just so right, like in your bones. Like it's coming at the perfect time. It's exactly what you asked for. It's so clear. There may be some hesitation, maybe there's some doubt of being able to follow this, but definitely getting just jump into it, like jump into the unknown. This is divinely orchestrated for you, and there's going to be so much success, celebration, looking ahead to the future. Like you're being guided. This Blackbird card coming to mind again. Oh, excuse me, little hiccup. So definitely reinforcement of that message for me. Yeah, so this Blackbird card is all about receiving this guidance, somebody who can see into both worlds. So I'm getting that you're able to learn from the past, use it to work into this gorgeous future. Like you're going to be guided in the way, and you'll kind of have like those bits of knowledge So the blackbird is considered sacred in the Druidic tradition because it loves to eat rowan berries, and rowan berries are, the rowan tree is one of the most sacred trees. The rowan berries are sacred. Also, they have, if you pick them and look at them, they have a little perfectly formed pentacle on them. So, pentacles, of course, are sacred to, many of the pagan traditions, or are meaningful to them. And so, yeah, and that's kind of, the pentacle talks about the balance of the four elements plus that spirit element as well. And with this cave here, I'm getting that, it may from the outside look like, something that's kind of like dark and mysterious and unknown, but that you are being guided through it. And so you're being given this kind of like sacred knowledge to go ahead with this, right? So maybe there's going to be people who look at your decision here and question it, and maybe think that you are, going too fast, or jumping in too headlong, or being even too headstrong about this, is a message that I was getting. But I feel like yeah, especially with the counselor here. So there may be, whether this is depicting a really good friend of yours that you can turn to for advice, or this is depicting like your own inner intuition, or even like your spirit guides are sending you, signs and symbols, and you're seeing synchronicities everywhere, like whatever it is, right? With this like heart over the inner eye, over the third eye, I mean, you're being guided with like so much love. I mean, this, looking at this with like the whales who, I just, so whales, they're sacred animals because they actually travel the ley lines of the world, and they sing as they go. And so they're essentially singing to the world and keeping that energy that, Mother Earth, that Gaia has within her. They're keeping her alive and reminding her of that energy that courses through, the ley lines are like Mother Gaia's, the Mother Earth's blood lines, right? Like how we have veins throughout our body that run with blood, that, blood consists of iron, right? And it's magnetic, and it, everything kind of has that like charge to it, and attraction, and responds to, we kind of all respond to each other in all different elements in our world, right? The water is pulled by the moon, you can see that here. So it's very much speaking to me of, there's something here that's calling to you to, almost like remember your aliveness, and to remember that you're wild, right? Like remember that you are a creature of this earth just as much as anything or anyone else that lives on the planet. Like you were created of the earth. You came from ancestors that, practice this sacred knowledge, and that you can reclaim that, right? And so, maybe there's a guide, a friend who has wisdom, or maybe you're meant to be that person for others, whether that's a, message that resonates for you, or, if you're just getting kind of messages from your spirit guides. I'm definitely, I'm seeing that, there's so many birds in these three cards especially, and then of course you picked the blackbird. So I am seeing that birds and feathers, definitely might be coming into your life right now to reinforce messages for you. And that I'm even getting the message that if you find a feather, or if you like particularly notice a bird, I mean, there's even birds in this card, maybe to look up, and there's birds in these two cards. Wow. Yeah. So very much reinforced. But if you notice a particular bird, or if you're, thinking, like if you're kind of like daydreaming and a bird goes across your window or just pops into your mind for some reason, like an owl or a specific type of hawk, or, a cute little like blackbird, right? Like whatever it might be. I'm getting the message to like look up the meaning and look up the significance of that bird. And that may provide some insight. There might be like, a direction that you're meant to go. Like maybe you're meant to go to a certain gathering, a certain party, or, go visit a museum, and you're like, debating about whether to go. And so you are thinking of it, and you're looking out the window, and this dove goes across the window, and, so you look it up, and you're being given the guidance to go. But maybe like, there's also a particular like way, or, something else in there, right? That gives you like some more details or guidance about a question that you had. And so you go, and that's where you meet this person, right? Or you meet this, opportunity, like you encounter, information about a position that you can apply to, or a scholarship or a grant, or, you meet this person's best friend, and they, want to set you up on a blind date. Like, it's just like this kind of like, you're almost like falling into it without even realizing that you're falling into this new opportunity. And so, all right, well, those are the messages that I'm getting for you guys. So beautiful. Pile number 3, thank you so much for watching this today. And I just saw 111. Oh, and my alarm's going off. So definitely getting like this, like it's gonna like be this beautiful beginning that almost like, like, so Beltane obviously is a celebration of fire. So I'm getting this like fire alarm, not in a bad way, but like in like a fire, like something's just like sparking and then lighting and going, and it's going to be really exciting. So excited for you guys. Would love to hear any feedback. If you'd like to post a comment, definitely remember to subscribe to my channel, like this video if you like it, and I can't wait to see you again in future readings. So take care, beautiful pile 3. All my love. Bye-bye.